Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, our lesson is going to be about the dynamics of publishing qualitative research work. And now that we have looked at the best practices and also the elements that we need to keep in mind when we are writing a qualitative research article, we will go through some of the aspects that you need to keep in mind when you're searching for a journal and also when at the stage of preparing your paper for publishing, as well as moments of publishing and some of my own experiences and other researchers, qualitative researchers' experiences in publishing, so that hopefully when you go on your own publishing journey in this type of research, it won't hopefully be a major shock for you. So we'll share some experiences as well. So without further ado, I'm your instructor, Sarah, and let's get started. So when you're picking a journal, I would say that it's important to think about these three different aspects. One is what your topic is. Second is where is your discipline situated, and what is the methodology of the study. So it could be that you're thinking about all three of these things, or it could be that you're thinking about one of these things, right? So, or two of these things. You want to pick a journal based on your topic and your methodology, or you want to pick a journal based on your discipline and your methodology, right? So, for example, it could be that you are in the field of tourism, right? And then there are journals that publish a lot of qualitative research. So it might be that you want to publish in a qualitative journal in the field of tourism, or there's hardly journals that are very specific to a particular methodology per se. There are journals like that, but it's not secluded to a discipline, right? There are qualitative research journals, but they are more general to the methodology rather than a discipline per se. They publish works, qualitative work from different disciplines, right? And then, in terms of disciplines, there are journals that are under the sociology branch, or journals that are under political science branch, journals that are under tourism branch, and then there are like journals that are very specific to, let's say, tourism management or tourism anthropology or culture tourism and culture related topics, right? So, but it's important that whatever journal that you choose, it's somehow correlating with one or two of at least two of these aspects of a journal article, right? Because if you want to let's say your research is in the area of tourism culture, and you want to publish in a journal like such as political science, then it's a bit outside of it may be a bit outside the focus of that journal. And unless you really curve your study in a way that aligns with that journal's core purpose, it would be very hard to get published there, right? And the next thing is that you have to pay attention to the specific guidelines of each journal. So let's look at where you can actually find these guidelines. When you're choosing a journal, right? Oftentimes when you are within a field, you kind of have an idea of what the journals or the best journals or the most cited journals or the most well-known journals in your field of area. How will you get to know these? It's because when you start reading for your topic, obviously, one of the type of sources that you would go for are journal articles. And when you're reading from journal articles, you will come to know the names of these journals. So it's highly unlikely that you have been reading into a field and you don't really know some of the well-known journals in your field, right? Other way that you can but yeah, if you haven't done so, if you don't really have an idea, then I would suggest to download a few articles, at least 20 articles or 30 articles, or better yet, you can actually do a systematic review of literature in your area or topic. And when you're reading, you will know what are the reoccurring journal names in your field and etc. But when you're choosing a journal, or if you want to know if your paper aligns with the journal, it's important that you go to the journal page and you read the the introduction section of that journal, where they will give an overview of what kind of journal it is and what exactly they are looking for. So you know if your article actually aligns with the journal, and if not, and you really want to publish in this journal, then you need to align your article in a way that kind of fits, or rather fits or is close to what they expect, right? So this is one of the top journals in the field of tourism. So it says specifically that it is a social science journal, right? And the social sciences are there's so many different disciplines under the social science branch. So that means obviously that they are a multidisciplinary community of scholars. That means that the papers that gets published in this journal, the papers need to be multidisciplinary in perspective. It cannot be that your literature and your perspective is, as what I explained in our previous lesson, it cannot be just in this tiny little bubble of one discipline. It has to have perspectives of multiple social science disciplines, right? And it says specifically it's that analysis is ultimately dedicated to developing theoretical constructs. That means there has to be a significant contribution to knowledge as well in each paper that adds not only to tourism but also to this social science field in general. And they are the frontiers of knowledge in and contribute to the literature on tourism social science. So there has to there has to be a major contribution to the knowledge of tourism social science if you are to aim for publishing in this journal, right? So the expectations are uh, high in a sense that it cannot be a paper that is just grounded within one small area or topic, but it has to be more widely relevant, right? So uh, yeah, so before you go into just okay, I like this journal and I want to publish in that journal, so I'm just going to go submit it. No, before that, it's important that you know what the journal is seeking and what kind of papers they are actually accepting before you, in order for you to increase your chances of actually at least going through the process of reviewing and getting a chance, a good chance at publishing with the journal you prefer. right? And another way to kind of understand what kind of papers they publish is for you to actually go and see this area. Okay, so every journal has its own website, at least most of them, at least the good ones. Okay, the highly ranked journals, they all have their own website. So in their website, you should also be able to see the most downloaded articles, the most recent articles, the most cited articles, and open access articles. So if you want to see, because the journal editors also change in time. So based on the editor of the journal, the flow and the kind of papers that get accepted into the journal can also change its course, right? Because the journal editors or the editor in chief is one of the major gatekeepers of knowledge, right? So based on the value system and the belief system of the editor of chief, it can also have an impact on the kind of articles that gets published in that journal. So you can actually go and see what has been the most recent articles that has been published under these journals and based and on under this journal, and based on that you can get an idea about all right, this is the kind of uh, research that they're interested in, and this is the kind of quality they expect in their research articles, and etc., right? So you can get an idea by going through these recent articles and going through other articles that has been published in the journal you prefer as well, right? So this is another journal, another one of the top journals in tourism. And so it's important to align to the journal's core focus. So in here, it says that it is one of the leading international journals for all those concerned with the management of tourism, right? Including planning of travel and tourism. So if that means that whatever, if you want to publish in this journal, then it has to be aligned to its core, which is about management. And if it isn't aligned to the core, then it's highly likely that the paper will get rejected, right? It has to be at least some aspect of management, whether it's the tourism academia, whether it's the tourism, the various forms of tourism operations. However, it has to be aligned to this core of the journal, which is about the management of travel and tourism, right? So if it isn't, then it's highly likely that it will get rejected, right? And the reason why I underlined here as well is to emphasize that the editor in chief and who the editor in chief is can actually have an impact on the kind of articles that gets accepted into a journal, and the belief system of the editor can have an impact as well. And I've had this experience in this journal itself, where the previous editor in chief was different and now the editor in chief is different, and their perspectives towards what kind of articles can get into this journal, I would say, is very different, right? So you need to go into the journals that you, once you have narrowed it down based on your topic, your discipline, and your methodology, then you can actually go into these journal pages and see and read these introductions and go through the most recent papers, for example, and get an idea about what kind of articles they are looking for and how you can align, if you really want to publish in this journal, then how you can align your paper in a way that you have a higher chance of getting accepted, right? And the higher chance would be based on if your paper is aligned to the core focus of the journal, right? And another thing that is that if you really want to publish in a journal, and as some might say that this is unethical, and yeah, and it would be a wider debate, but it's also one of the aspects that I've seen as well is that, let's say you want to publish in this journal, Annals of Tourism Research, then it's also important that within your paper you have brought forward perspectives that have been published in this journal, right? Perspectives that are relevant to your research. So it's also important to kind of cite articles within that has been published in this journal, right? Because if you are submitting an article with a journal and you haven't cited, or if you haven't referred to any publications that have been published in this journal, then that kind of leaves like a question mark, right? So yeah. And then this is another handy tool that I was told about by someone in the graduate school in Taylor's University. So I think this is also a very helpful tool. I've listed down the link here for your reference. So here you can actually either enter or paste your whole title or your abstract or your keywords, or keywords that you want to include, and etc. And then it would give you a list of journals that actually aligns with your topic, or aligns with your abstract, or aligns with your keywords. So I think I found this to be a handy tool as well. If you really don't know what are the major journals that you can target in order for you to publish your qualitative work, you can actually use this tool as a guide, right? Because sometimes you may know journals within your specific topic. Like for example, your paper is focused on tourism culture, so you may know journals within tourism that you want to publish in, but maybe not in the wider disciplinary area. Maybe there are also other social science journals that you can aim, but you may not have an idea. So you can actually put your keywords or abstracts or title and get a list of journals that kind of aligns with these aspects that you have keyed in here, right? And the second step is that once you have chosen the journal that you want to target, and I would suggest to have uh, at least two journals in mind, just in case that it gets rejected, then you know what your second option is. But we are hoping for the best, right? But yeah, once you have chosen your journal, the next step is to revise, or rather prepare your paper as per the guidelines that are given for the authors from the journal. And I would say this is very, very important for you to follow the steps that are actually given from the journal itself, because the likeliness of a paper getting rejected, desk rejected, before it even goes through review, before it goes through any kind of process through the journal, is if the paper does not follow the guidelines that are given to the authors from the journal, right? So every journal, as I said, if it has their own website, and in this website you should also be able to find the guide for authors. And in this guide for authors, you will find information starting from the structure of the paper, the number of words, and which aspects they are looking for, and how to prepare the tables and graphs, and how to list out the references, and the very detailed specifics of how you need to prepare your paper before you submit, right? Because it's not that you are just submitting the article itself with everything inside the article. No, there are other documents that you need to prepare as well to submit, whether it's the author profile, or the tables and graphs in separate documents, or the acknowledgements and a cover letter, and etc. So each of these specifics would be listed here. And so it will give you a very detailed outline of what are the different documents that you need to prepare, and how you need to prepare your article itself, right? So it's a must, and it's important that you follow these guidelines, so that there is no that you are reducing the element of desk rejection, right? When you are submitting, okay, at the point when you have prepared everything and you are now submitting to the journal, it's important that you choose the right type of research article. If it's a full paper, then you choose the options accordingly. And one of the points that I wanted to emphasize here is that in the most of the Elsevier and I believe Emerald as well, uh, their submitting platforms, most journals would ask you to select a set of keywords that aligns with your research. Right? This is not, I'm not talking about the keywords of your research, but this is for a different purpose. And this purpose that they ask you to choose keywords that aligns with your research is that based on this is uh, it's based on this information that they will choose the reviewers. So if you choose the wrong kind of keywords, then it may lead to a not so relevant reviewer who might not so much understand your topic and thereby end up getting irrelevant or negative feedback, right? So it's important when you're submitting that you choose the right keywords as well that aligns with the essence of your own research, right? Okay. And these are some of the experiences. I've actually listed down the thread here if you're interested to go through. This is some of the most inappropriate review suggestions qualitative researchers have received in their publication journey. And I would say, although the things that we have discussed so far, it would provide you with an opportunity to produce something of value. And even having followed all of these steps, right, there is a chance that you're going to actually there's a high chance that you're going to face reviewers that are not so aligned to qualitative research and etc. Because as I explained in our first lesson, in the moments of qualitative research, we are still in a stage of qualitative research and the research community in qualitative research. It is still at a stage where it's still a minority, and a lot of people also who are doing qualitative research, they are doing qualitative research in a very positivistic mindset where they think based on quantitative research actually, right? So there's a very small minority of people who have embraced the belief system of qualitative research and who accept it and acknowledge the particularities of qualitative research. So it's highly likely that when you go on your own publishing journey, you're going to find reviewers who will ask you questions that will make you go, huh? Right? What? So I have faced that, and I'm sure others have faced that too. So I took some comments from this thread that I thought I'd share with you. Okay. First one. Over the past few years, I have mostly published my qualitative oriented work in journals that emphasize and understand qualitative research. But even still, this person got this uh, uh, review or comment to uh, to to start using language like nearly all and a clear majority, saying that the sample size was too small to support more precision than that. So yes, I think I also once got such comment as well in one of the papers that I published, which was based on focus group, where one of the reviewers actually said, "Oh, you cannot say that you cannot say that oh, majority of people said this, or majority or minority of people said that. You need to clearly state 10 out of 12 people said this, or only 2 out of 12 people said this, right?" So, and at the same time, you might, if you do that, there might be reviewers who says, "No, stop giving numbers, because this is qualitative research. Obviously, when you have come on to themes, when you have done the analysis and the coding, and you come on to themes, you came on to themes based on majority responses, right? Because a lot of people have said the same thing. That's how you came to the theme." So some reviewers might say, "Please don't mention numbers," whereas others who come from a different belief system would say, "Ah, no, you cannot just say majority. You need to say clearly how many out of how many people said that," right? Second one, I think the most maddening review was a couple of years ago when I submitted a qualitative manuscript to a top tier journal in my field. One reviewer in the recommendation told me to remove the word empirical when referring to our findings. His or her position was that since it was qualitative, it could not be considered empirical. So, as I said, because a lot of people are either situated in the positivist tradition, or because even some who are doing qualitative research are still situated within the positivist belief system, they have this perspective that, oh, qualitative research, it's not research, it's not empirical, it's not systematic, so it cannot be considered knowledge, right? Only research is only valid, or research can be considered as research if you have a huge sample involved in this, right? And this kind of comments is something that you will get a lot, and I myself have gotten such comments saying that, "Oh, 11 people, no, that's not enough. You need to have more people, more people, more people. You need to interview more people. You need to include more," right? And because I think that's like a common belief in the system as well, that if there's more in number, then somehow it has more value, right? It's the same as this belief that if it's expensive, then it must be of quality, right? So it's similar kind of belief here as well, that if the numbers are higher, then it must mean that it has more value. So such beliefs still exist in academic circles, and because of that, you might get comments like this and get questions like this in your publishing journey as well. So I hope if and when you get questions like this, you would have an answer to such questions. And I think you, based on our first lesson and the different lessons where we spoke about reflexivity, subjectivity, positionality, research influence on research, and etc., you should be able to give a counter comment on such a perspective, right? Another one, along the same lines, I was asked by a reviewer from an eminent public health journal not only to rank the order of my themes, which emerged from 9 focus groups and 6 key informant review interviews, by the number of groups in which each theme arose, but to indicate how many people in each focus group endorsed each theme. Wow. Yeah, this is obviously, I would say all of these comments are coming from people who are still sitting within the positivist tradition, where they believe that the more the number, the higher the truth level, and that statistics equals truth, and etc etc. All of these comments kind of boils down to that belief system, right? My core community is information systems, and the main problem with most of the reviews I get for qualitative papers is that the reviewers have a quantitative mindset. As I said, the killer argument always goes, your sample is not representative, yes, or similar. Some reviewers insist that I provide all kinds of useless details about the sample. If nothing else helps to reject the paper, a brilliant statement such as this one can result. I believe that your sample is not representative. Yeah, you can get such remarks as well. They would say, "Oh, you only interviewed 12 people. That's not that's not representative. That's not enough." So again, right? So numbers constitute truth. If so, if you gave out a survey for 500 people, then that must mean truth. But if you had in-depth conversation with 20 people, it's not true, right? So obviously, I'm not saying one is better and the other one is not. It's just that we need to kind of acknowledge that each research, especially in social sciences, and I would say in the natural sciences as well, that research is limited, and research and whatever we produce in any given research is limited. It doesn't include all the perspectives, it doesn't include all the context. Whether you gave a survey to 1,000 people out of a population of 10,000, or whether you had an in-depth interviews with 20 people out of a population of 1,000, but it doesn't mean that your research has looked upon all the perspectives. No, every research is limited in its own ways. But this idea of universalism and numbers constituting truth, this is a very stubborn kind of belief, right? And this stubborn belief is, people have been uh, trying to challenge this stubborn belief for a very long time, and I would say we are still challenging this stubborn belief, but it's still an ongoing process, right? Uh, Last one. A grant reviewer once commented that my phenomenological study should have clearly stated a hypothesis. Otherwise, what I proposed was unscientific. Yes. So, again, in the academic community, I would say they have this very stubborn idea of what is scientific, what is not scientific. And they try to approach qualitative research in the same way that they approach quantitative research, which is which it cannot be, right? Because every type of research needs to be contextualized to the specifics of that type of research, right? And I think this is also one of the stories that my one of my friends told me as well, when she went in for her PhD scholarship interview, and she had to present her research proposal, and she was interested in an ethnographic study. So she was proposing an ethnographic study, and the jury was all quantitative researchers. So one of the main questions that she got was, "Oh, you don't have hypothesis in your study. You need to include some hypothesis. Research cannot be done this way. You need to have some hypothesis." And when she tried to explain that, no, that's not how it's done in ethnography, and etc., etc., they really put her down and made her feel, or kind of forced it upon her to include this aspect, and that she needs to listen to them, that what she's suggesting is not research, and etc., etc., right? So in my own journey, in my own publishing journey, I would say I remember my first publication actually went better than I thought. uh, and my first publication was actually a systematic review of literature in my field. And as I said in one of the previous lessons, my research is in the field of colonialism, ideology, identity, and representation, and discourses. So a lot of times I write on different ideologies that work, or rather, yeah, that works in the process of knowledge production, in representation, and etc., etc. My first publication was a systematic review, so it wasn't, and it was a new topic in my field, so it wasn't that difficult. But I remember when I later on into my publishing journey, I have faced all kinds of reviews, including review of this one reviewer who directly bashed me and my co-author, saying that he took this one metaphor of a car. He said that we are in a car and we don't have side mirrors and this and that, and we are going in a dark place without headlights, and etc., etc. Basically, with much sarcasm, he was trying to tell us that we are stupid and we are blind. And and but I remember when I first read those reviews, I was sitting at home at night, and it was such a long review that I think when we put it into a Microsoft Word document, it went on for like 14 pages. And I read that at night as I was sitting on my couch, and I remember I was feeling sad. At first, I was feeling sad, and I spoke to my co-author, and he took it in a different way, and we actually had a laugh about it. And we published that paper, and we managed to respond equally well. And similarly, I have also gotten questions and comments on, oh, this many people is not enough, or how you need to mention how many people said this, how many people said that. And they and yeah, but overall I would say that even in qualitative, it's not like it's a rather impossible task to publish qualitative work. It's not. If you follow these steps that we have discussed in our previous lessons, and you produce something of value, and I would say please read into your field before you are choosing a topic to pursue, and make sure that whatever research that you are doing, you are producing something new, and producing and contributing to the body of knowledge in a significant way. And you are not just repeating something that's already been done, because if you really want to aim for the high ranked journals, then you really need to think, you need to be creative, starting from choosing a topic, the way that you write, and etc. And I would say one of the best ways to do that is to continue to read. You need to read a lot. Mm. And you need to read from different perspectives. And in our previous lesson, I also emphasized on multidisciplinarity, where you need to read from different disciplines. And I would say, on top of reading from different disciplines, it's also important to read from different authors and different perspectives, meaning that oftentimes what I have seen, and this is also something that I write about, that remember that big circle and the small dot that I showed in my previous lesson. So oftentimes, no matter the different discipline that we read into, we tend to stick within this, or highly cited articles, and or top authors. And And all of these are based on power structures, but I won't go into that now. But what I wanted to say is that read in other languages too, languages that you have the capacity to read in, and read from people who are not just from these so called top English speaking countries, but also from other places in this world. So read a multiplicity of perspectives, and the more you read, the more you will learn that okay, these things haven't been considered in the existing body of knowledge, and so you would be able to produce something of quality. And when you're producing something of quality, you can follow these steps so as to produce something that would get not so bad reviews, right? And hopefully you will have an equally good publishing journey. And I would say don't feel bad, uh, which is something I did as well in the beginning of my publishing journey. Sometimes we tend to take the reviews very personally, right? We feel like, oh, this person is attacking me directly, but they're not attacking you. They're not attacking you directly. Even if it sounds harsh, the reviewers are giving you feedback that you can consider in a constructive way and can actually improve your work. And if it doesn't improve your work, at least it will improve your mindset on how to deal with such things. Either way, it's a win win situation where you will learn and grow, and you will learn how to navigate yourself within this system, and you will learn how to better your work as well. So try not to take it personally, and take it in a cool-headed way, and take it as an opportunity to learn and grow, right? And so that's all for this course. And I really hope that the information that I have shared with you would be helpful for you in your writing and your publishing journey. And I guess if you have questions, I will be addressing these questions in during our live session. And that's all for this lesson. And I really hope that you enjoyed. And I wish you best of luck in your writing and your publishing journey. If anything, or if you have any specific questions that you want to ask me outside of the live session, you can also email me. So that's all. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this course. Thank you and take care.